And so people always go, budgets, who wants to live off of a budget? And so the budget form that you have is also on our website. If you go to our website, today you can scratch on this, but we take your budget and we turn it into what's called an accelerator program. Does anybody know what an accelerator program is? An accelerator program takes a 7-year car loan and maybe accelerate it down to about 18 months. Or if you have a 30-year mortgage, an accelerator program could take it down to less than 7 years. So at any rate, any debts that you have can be accelerated where you pay them off and you become debt-free. Debt-free is something most people have looked at as foreign. I'm debt-free, and I know a lot of people that are debt-free. And I'm going to show you examples of people that came in overwhelmed in debt. Everything that we do starts from the form that we gave you. What we're going to be talking about today is 5 different steps to financial freedom. The first one is going to be budgeting. Budgeting basically is having a conversation with your money. If you don't have a conversation with your money, then your money goes where it wants to. Everybody's had that example, you know, you have $100 in your pocket on Monday, and then your wife or your husband asks you on Friday, what happened to that $100? And you go, I don't know. You didn't tell it where to go at, so it found its own place to go. And that's how people overspend. What I find in repairing credit is if you don't get a handle on your finances, you end up returning to me. And I've had over the last 14 years, people return 2 and 3 times with bad credit again because they went back out, got themselves overwhelmed in debt, and ruined their credit a second and third time. I find that people don't want to do those kinds of things, but a lot of times the people that I am repairing credit for, somebody comes to me and they're trying to buy a house or a car. Once we sit down and do a budget, we find out that they're spending already more money than they're making. And it's because nobody ever looks at finances. So we're going to look at how you budget. Everything that I do is that I show, that I teach, David and I, we actually do. And I'm not trying to show you something that I don't already do. If you came to the last month seminar on building credit, all of that we talked about is going to tie into the budget because I use the budget with the building credit together. The second thing you have to do, you have to understand if you have a budget, is you have to build, to become debt-free, is you have to build an emergency fund. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and your tires blow out on your car, what does most people do? Got to finance them. So now you got yourself back in debt again. So we don't want that to happen, so you got to build an emergency fund. So once we build the budget, we know what you got coming in, what you got going out, then we can show you how you build the budget, the emergency fund. The emergency fund is simply $1,000 in your household, so if something happens, tires blow out or something like that, you pick from that money rather than going out and financing it. The third thing we do from the budget, that we take from the budget, is we show you how to accelerate and pay off all your debts, and that's all good debts, by the way. Remember, paying off bad debts makes your credit score drop. Paying off bad debts makes it stay 7 more years on your credit report. So paying off bad debts is not what we're talking about in the budget, nor is it involved in the budget. Paying off and accelerating your car, furniture maybe that you're paying on, television, those kinds of things. Debts. Debts are defined as something that at some point ends. Your electricity is not a debt. You'll pay it for the rest of your life. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about, in step 4, building a 6 to 12-month emergency fund. A 6 to 12-month emergency fund is what happens if you lose your job. It's an amount of money that you can live on for 6 to 12 months. Customers that I found that's followed this and put that 6 to 12-month emergency fund, mine is 12 months because I want to have a long time. If I stop doing what I'm doing, I want to have a long time to find something else. Most people have the experience that when they lose a job, because they have so many debts and so many bills, that they have to go right out the next day and look, or the same day they lose their job, they have to go out and look for another job, right? Because you got those bills coming in. Imagine if you had about $15,000 to $20,000 in your savings account and you lost your job. Most people that I talk to hate the jobs that they have, and they live for breaks. I mean, as a matter of fact, they even renamed Wednesday Hump Day because people hate the Monday through Friday and can't wait for the weekends. So, we were given 7 days, and we look forward to 2 of them. Most heart attacks in America happen between 8 and 9 o'clock on Monday morning. So we hate what we do most of the time for a living. And that happens because we end up, if we lose a job, we got to go find another one. We take the first one that comes along because we can't afford to go without a paycheck, so now we're stuck in something else that we don't want to do. What I find is that when people get this 6 to 12 month emergency fund, their whole attitude changes. Let your boss talk to you the wrong way when you got $15,000 in the bank. See how fast you will quit and go look for something else. And it's a different world too, because then you kind of, when you go on interviewing, it's kind of like you're not the only one being interviewed, you're interviewing the position you're going to see if it's something that you want to take. So everybody can do this, and it's guaranteed that if you follow the plan, that everybody can be debt free and everybody can have a 6 to 12 month emergency fund set up. You just got to program yourself a different way. And then the last step of this program is accelerating your home mortgage off in less than 7 years. Most of all the plans that I design are less than 7 years. And what that means is if you make $4,000 a month, what I'm telling you here is that I can have your house paid off in less than 7 years using the same $4,000 a month. What most people do is when they're struggling and they're making $4,000 a month, they go get a part-time job or something, and now they're making, $4,500, $5,000 a month, and guess what? Now they spend the $5,000 and they're still struggling. And it's because, again, mismanagement of money. It doesn't matter how much money you make if you blow it, if you don't tell it where to go at, if you don't program every dollar that comes in your household and program it to go somewhere. We already talked about credit cards, but I'm going to talk about how I tie in the budget. Remember when we talked about, for you guys that were here, we talked about using credit cards to buy groceries and cell phone and gasoline and all that, those different things. We're going to talk about how to tie it into the budget so that you don't accidentally overspend money. And then, of course, when you have a budget, you live without stress because your budget is taken care of. Most people use their checkbook to pay bills, and if they look at their checkbook and the money's not there, the stress happens. I get experiences where people go to vacation, and when they're on vacation, they're worried about the bills because they're spending money on vacation and they're not working for that week, and so they're worried while they're on vacation thinking about work. And then most people, when they're at work, they're thinking about vacation. So when you have a budget, believe it or not, there's no more stress in your life. So we're going to talk about that too. Most people tell me when I talk about a budget, why should I budget? I don't make any money. Or I have salespeople that tell me, well, I'm in sales, I don't know how much money I'm going to make. Or I'm in construction, and I don't know if it rains, I'm not going to work. There's all kinds of different excuses you can have, but no matter what it is, you got to budget in what you make that month. If you're a commission salesman, for an example, and here it is in February, if you simply take your 2 months and divide it by 2, that's your budget. You might make $10,000 one month and $5,000 the next month. You made $15,000 in 2 months. That's a $7,500 a month budget. You see? So all you do is you can take your tax return from last year, divide it by 12, and that's what your monthly budget is. But let's look at what the average household in Louisiana. This is an average household earns $40,000 per year. So if you got 2 people earning $40,000 a year, it's a lot more. But just $40,000 is Louisiana's average. That's $3,333 per month. That's not a large income, okay? That's $833 a week. More importantly, that's $1.6 million in your lifetime. Most people say, boy, if I had that million at the beginning of my life, boy, would it be nice. And so what do you think happens to $1.6 million over our lifetime? What do y'all think happens to it? We're all millionaires. We spend it in interest. We spend it in interest buying things off of impulse, buying from emotion instead of using logic. Instead of using our brains, we let the advertisers and everybody get to us and make us buy things on impulse. And we're going to talk about some of the interest rates that we use. There's also some competitors for your income. Advertisers. How many of y'all have children? And don't the kids come to you after they're watching cartoons and ask you for all kinds of things they've seen on cartoons? So it starts from little bitty, man. And you see commercials, and all of a sudden you want to buy something too. You know, look at the iPhone. Every time I buy one of them, another one comes out. It's like I can't ever get the best, most advanced one. Another one comes out, and another one's coming out shortly. So advertisers, years ago, we used to go, maybe 50 years ago, we used to go to movies when our great-grandparents, and they had something called subliminal advertising. Anybody ever heard of that? What subliminal advertising was that when you were sitting at a movie, they would blink things on the screen that only your subconscious mind could see. And so what they would be blinking is buy popcorn, buy a drink. And when they did this, their sales skyrocketed 100%. Nobody even knew they were doing it. It's outlawed now because it works so well. They would blink it on the screen. You wouldn't see it. They could slow it down and you could actually see it. And they would put buy popcorn, buy Coke, buy this, buy that. And we would get up and we would go buy it. And so subliminal advertising was outlawed years ago. But now what the advertisers do is they use repetitive, over and over and over and over and over conditioners. And so now we want the product. Now we want that car we can't afford. So what happens? The merchants, they're going to use the advertise. Jerry Lane and they're going to use it over and over and over. I saw this morning when I was driving here at the Ford dealership, $8,000 off a truck. Do y'all believe that? $8,000 off a truck, and the truck's still $24,000, and it was just a little small truck. So it's, again, advertising to get you into it. That's what the merchants use. So when you can't afford it, here comes the lenders. Now the lenders are going to jump in and save the day, and it's only going to cost you $299 per month for this vehicle, and that's not much money, and they'll split it down. That's only $75 a week. You got this little bitty fee, and yet you don't realize that when you pay that $299 over 7 years, the car costs $30,000. So even with the $8,000 they gave you off, you didn't make any kind of deal with it. So you got the lenders. And then the last one you